It's always on 60, and it's on 168. Yeah. Yeah.
I like your shirt.
Thanks. All right. Yikes. Ace of four. Hold on 1 second.
Hi.
Hey, Caesar.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Oh, Harold. Mr. Harold. Oh, 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 oh. Don't hurt mommy. Don't hurt me. Okay.
Got a shit ton of food still, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of leftovers if you want some. I'm up at the lake. No, but Harold, please.
Snow up there, what?
Yeah, like, yeah, much as anywhere.
Just a little bit on the ground.
Roads were clear. Yeah, just on the grass. And did you guys have a nice time?
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice. You guys did a great job.
It was great to hear everybody talking and laughing. Love it. Lots of good food. All the food was pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was.
I will say. Gotta take care of your winter allergies. Gotta get you some rootology.
No, my emotional sickness. I don't get sick.
Ah, all right. Well, then throat chakra.
All emotions.
All right. Let's get you a nice blue stone for that throat chakra. Clear that throat. Let me clear my throat. Dum, 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 dum. The best music was on us, our generation. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no shit. Jess is pretty pumped about skate state.
Oh my god, dude, that's got to be our Tuesday night winter gig.
Shut up about it already.
I'm pretty like literally. If everyone will agree to go, I'm so down. I was in the best shape of my life during that. Okay, best legs ever.
I mean, he's ready to go. If Tuesday was tomorrow, he'd already be there.
Seriously, it is tomorrow, isn't it? Wait, what day is it?
No,
the Tuesday after.
Yeah. Tuesday after. Can't
He's
go
he's going to New York with Aaron.
He almost
Oh,
yeah, he pretty much almost canceled the New York trip just to come back to Skate Estate.
Right.
that's fantastic.
He was definitely thinking about it.
I love Jess in his grandpa's sweater and his whiskey a go-go outfit.
Yeah.
He remember
He's
He'll
a
sig-
perfect mix of LA and Binghamton.
yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely from here, but he went to LA and got snazzed up a little and came back. Like he took an extended trip out there and came back.
Yeah.
Binghamton looks good on Aaron. Jeez.
She likes it here. She really likes it. I mean, she's experiencing brand new things for the first time, like every day.
Yeah, standing
not
out by a
normal.
fire.
Yeah,
Yes. Standing out by a
outside
fire in the
doing
middle of winter.
fires. Yeah,
Yeah, she was like blown away.
Jess
Carol,
did her first donut with her in the car. He pulled the e-brake and did a donut. And she's like, oh.
yeah. It's like being 16. I mean, that's when we were enjoying it most.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I don't know why I've never thought even asking her. Have you ever asked Michelle to come out here?
Michelle,
That Mickey,
have I asked her to what?
come on here. I don't know if I've
Oh,
ever even. I think I was sending to her before, and maybe.
in the beginning, but I think she just had something going on in her life that was preventing it. She's she works a lot, but I think she would love it. So at least send her one or something or a recording. I meant to FaceTime her actually when we were together on Thanksgiving. I forgot.
I'll send.
I didn't forget. I just got.
Yeah, let's add her to the group and send it over so she can just watch when she wants to. Anybody talk to Jason? Somebody sent on Facebook, yes.
I talked to her, like,
Okay.
I didn't talk, I just hello, but
Okay.
last I knew he was okay.
Yeah, he texts me something. He texts me something almost every day.
Yeah.
I think it's just their season, snow removal and everything.
Yeah.
Just there he is.
So anyway, we'll get started, but yeah, Brandon just texted me. I gotta figure out what's going on with Brandon too. Told him to call me. I called him and told him to call me back. He said he was gonna, and didn't.
I saw pictures of him with beautiful babes and also beautiful babies. And also,
Yeah, that's his. Those are the wrestlers,
Maybe-
professional wrestlers.
oh,
He posts that a lot. It's his two diva chicks from WWF.
all right.
Posted with him when he went to the thing.
Maybe you should send out a survey.
Where is Brandon survey?
No, a survey
Or
to
you said
everybody
competitors thing?
on all of our like what would encourage them to sign on more, or are they listening after the fact, or is it just the night of the week, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. All the little things.
Yeah. Like
Because a
anything
lot of
else,
people,
like anything else in life, it's hard to stick to something consistently over time. I get it. Some people need
I
it.
don't know, I'm a pretty consistent friend and sister and
Right.
all the things.
It's a
I-
general, the general human statement. So
There's no-
both you
there's no-
taking offense here.
No, there's no try.
I know
Right.
you weren't saying it to me. I was saying I don't find
This is
it hard.
recorded and I'm speaking to the world, remember?
Yeah, I was saying I don't find it hard to be consistent.
There's enough time for everything you put priority to. Let's just put it that way.
I guess
Everybody has the same amount of hours in a day.
if it's a priority, you make time.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it's no big deal.
So the topic, I don't know what I posted, heavy lies the crown. Seemed
Yeah.
a little bit big-headed of a statement, and I wanted to explain it because as you two know, nobody else, but as you two know, this past week has been a bit of an emotional setback for me. That's why I've been sick. That's why I've just been closed off. I've been taking a lot of stuff. The things that are in my life anyway. Not going to speak to it on here as much, but a few things just came at once. It was like one after another. And obviously, like, it came during the weekend when I worked till 5 in the morning. It's like little sleep information, like all of it just like was like bang, 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 bang. And it just like, it physically, I think mentally more took me down, but physically put me down. So, you know, I spent pretty much the whole day, more than a whole day in the room, just never even left. Just trying to rest and trying to get my mind off of things and trying to be, I was dumb, funny movies that don't make zero sense in the world. It doesn't matter. I just can listen and laugh and doesn't have anything to do with the world in my brain. But you know, going into Sunday, I felt a lot better. I was starting to feel better, even though I sounded like shit still. I was feeling better. And then, as you two know, you know, I got more news on Sunday night, which was like, holy shit, like. And she was supposed to be on tonight, you know, texting her. We always talk to each other Sunday night, so it was a lot to when I was like coming back up, a lot to whack me down. So last night was pretty rough. And so I went to work early this morning. I didn't sleep last night much and went to the garage and just worked. And I had a couple conversations today with some people back out west, and then another conversation with Jamie today. And I don't think intentionally she said what came up, but something she said triggered this thought. And this is why I'm long-winded to explain. Why I wrote Heavy the Crown is because, you know, in moments of talking today, I was feeling a little guilt, I think, because this wasn't somebody just like got lost. I'm very used to losing people. Like it sounds pretty bad, but like when somebody dies now, I don't get that initial feeling of like, oh my God, you know, that sounds kind of fucked up, but I think I've been through it enough where I don't get that. This time I was getting more emotion around like feeling that somebody else hurt that much, you know what I mean? Like feeling somebody else in this world hurting so much that they didn't want to be here. Like that hurt more than hearing that somebody left the earth, if that makes sense. So I was feeling guilt. I was feeling guilt today about dumb shit, like regular human nature shit, but I was letting myself lean into it and feeling guilty about what I could have done or done more, or should I have called her earlier, or should I, like, knew that she didn't check in, so I should have called her, like in my own shit, you know, being selfish. So I just got in that mode for a minute, and obviously that's all bullshit. I don't believe in that. It's not how I live my life. I don't believe that I had control over anything. I could have done one of a million things any given day, and it could have been yes or no, or anybody could, you know, everything moves everything. But I was in my feelings about it, is feeling that guilt and shame a little bit about it. And am I living up to what I'm talking? Am I living up to this? Am I living up to the work I do with the church? Am I living up to, you know, I was speaking to this particular person 2 to 3 times a week, FaceTime for hours. Because I mean, she was literally, I felt how much hurt, like it was just a lot. And you know, like how am I gonna think I wasn't doing it? I don't know. Anyway, had the conversation today, and Heavy Lies the Crown is more about me getting past that emotion, because it's natural. Somebody left this earth, is somebody close to me, is on top of a bunch of other shitty emotion I had running through. So I wasn't even ready or capable of handling something so big. So I have to keep that in mind. And two, like, to feel any pity about or lack of, like, should I be doing what I'm doing, or should I just lean into the crowd? You know, like, do I need to keep trying to be in people's, like, do I need to keep trying to be people's life? Do I need to force myself in people's life and try to give my opinion or help or instill any information that I've been put onto or learned? And like I said, I had a conversation with Jamie earlier for a while, but she didn't say anything particular that was like an answer to it, but she was talking about me and something just clicked and I thought, that's it. Like that is it. Like heavy is the crown. And not that I'm a king, but like literally, I take on responsibility because I want the one. That's it. And if the one is only me, then that's all that matters. You know, if I leave the 99, not saying I'm God, but heavy lies the crown. If I leave the 99 and go back for the one, this is why I do any of this. And that one, I get all the way back, and I turn back and I run all the way back, and I turn that sheep around, and it's fucking me looking at me. That's still worth it. Right? So in the moment, I just had a moment of clarity, like, holy shit, how dare me even think any of that? Because the point of it is the consistency, the showing up, the making it a priority. That if you're not there one day, it might hinder somebody else. They might be leaning on you more than you even know they're there. Not that that's a responsibility to me or you or any of us, but it's more about, as long as we're consistent in showing up and doing the same thing and being the same person over and over and over, at least somebody, even from a distance or not knowing, can lean on that consistency, can count on that consistency, can rely on that consistency, even if they don't like ask you for it. You know, they don't come at you and like, hey, can you do these things for me? Sometimes it's in silence that the people depend on you the most. And that's what I started to realize. Like, I took this whole thing on, like a podcast first, then I started going to Zoe, then I was getting involved in the gathering that was in person, then it became this thing. Then I was like, well, I want to do Real Raw and Flawed because I don't want it just to be about church. I want it to be about real shit that everybody wants to talk about that won't. And it started way back for the same reason that still brings me every Monday, is because I need an outlet, right? I need an outlet to say vulnerable things, to say things out loud, to share things that in some crowds you just don't, because you know they won't understand. I want to be able to say things that if it's just us, you know, if it's just 3 of us show up or 12 of us show up, or just me and Brandon did a one-on-one one time, like if it's just 2 people, it's not even about just this 40 some minutes of us right now. It's about a legacy of leaving it. If we record these and we put them in the library and it's always there, that any time we can hand that to somebody, right? All of our conversations, all of our words. Can you imagine if you record all the great conversations you had with every human in your life? Like if like you didn't know, but they were being recorded and you could just like pull them out. Everybody has these like amazing light conversations with somebody. You're just like, holy shit, that was deep. That was good. That was real. Can you imagine if you just yanked that out of the sky of your digital library in the Matrix and like you knew where it was, like that date, Jess Cron, you know, Aaron, like at the party last night, you pulled it out and you got to replay it, or you got to hand it to somebody as like a gift. Like, dude, you missed yesterday, but bro, I got the digital recording. I think that's what this is about, right? Like for all of us, is putting something out. The same encouragement, like when I was with Portia in Arizona, was like, hardest thing for me was to start. Once she started, she was going. You know what I mean? Like, and how great is it going to be to have that library of information that you laid out, video, audio. It's not still pictures anymore like our parents took, you know? And that some of the pictures are like kind of shitty, no lighting, you can't really see them. But now it's like this, it's like you're with the human, just like you'd be in person, and it's all recorded. And that's our responsibility. That's heavy light of the crown. That's we can take as much pressure as put on us. For me, I always believed that I was supposed to take burden for a long time, like I was supposed to shoulder it. But the more I understand, the more I encounter like these moments, these like heavy pressure moments. It's not burden that I was supposed to take. It's meant for me to shoulder because I can handle it. Because I take them in moments. I don't let it take me. I don't let it turn me around. I can, in a day, I can have the emotion, I can react to something, I can take it. The more we do stuff like this, I'm allowed to, in my own brain, go, that's a stupid thought. That's not true. That's just human nature. That's how we all feel that. You need to feel that. Then you need to move on, right? What do we do about it? All the things we talked about for a year, if we're not using them, what are we doing? So in the title of it, for me, it was like, kind of shake myself awake today, quite literally, because I felt like I was sleeping most of the day. I'm exhausted. But like shaking myself awake and saying, consistency isn't about a prize at the end of the day. There's no money involved in it. It's just inner. It's just like, does it drive you enough? Do you care about your character enough to show up? And that's when priority kicks in. You can't have priority for a short period of time. You can't have priority like, I'm gonna go to the gym every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday until I don't want to go anymore. That's different, right? It's not consistency. That's not something it's in here it's willing you to go. It's priority by pressure. I call that. That's priority by pressure. It's like, what else is everybody doing or making you feel, or you should go to the gym, or you should eat better, or you shouldn't drink, or you should do these things. But without ever checking in with you and asking you what you should be doing. So I take this responsibility very seriously. Because like I said, I started for me, my mental health and my overall health. But more importantly, I think about the last couple hours, I thought about if Jessica didn't reconnect with me and didn't tell me share the things she shared with me, how much worse could it have been for her in just those months. Except I know when we talked at the end, it was laughing and giggling and a little bit of happiness, even though I know she was still feeling it, feel really heavy. But she told me to my face that she has not told anybody anything. Not her best friend, not anybody in her family. She's told nobody. She's been harboring and holding it. And that sucks. You know what I mean? In that moment, like think about today, I felt blessed that I have this group just alone, that we can say whatever we want. And that's a fucking blessing. That's huge. You know, people roam around every day, just holding the most important shit in their life inside, wanting to share it with the person they ride with, rolling with, their best friends, their freaking partner, their parents. Too much shame, guilt, stress, won't share it. And why? You know, when she first even came to me and told me anything, it was like, she was shocked by my response. I had no judgment towards it. You know, everybody feels something different in a different way. I have been in a really dark place. I have battled with depression times in my life. I have been in spaces that I can relate to it. But we've all had our own experience of how deep it goes. So we talked about this weeks ago about, you know, the fear of letting go and just sharing and opening up, being vulnerable. But, you know, the topic today for me is really leaning in the responsibility that we have as people and what we can do every day to show up. It's easy to bury myself in the room and go in a cave. It's easy to be non-responsive. It's easy to say, you know what, I can't do it anymore. I don't feel like anybody's listening. I don't feel like anybody cares. I don't feel like anybody wants it. You know, one of my hardest things in the past used to be, not anymore, but used to be giving all I can and then watching somebody have zero action to it. It was used to be like my huge heartbreaker. Like I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Give you all the weapons, the tools, the information, the money, whatever you need. Here it all is. Everything I've never had. Here it is. And watch them just fucking fumble on the ground and break everything. And just go, oops, and leave early. It's like, you know, like what? But you can't force. That stuff has been instilled in people, either through experience of their own or pure want and will and just choice. You gotta choose that I'm on my page, like I'm gonna give this to you, and they go, you know what? Thank you so much. I do choose this path too, and go with it. And I used to get bent out of shape on that, but today it's different for me. It's the expectation can't be high. When you give, you can't expect. When you truly give, you can't expect, because truly everything is selfish. That's selfless. So if you're giving, that's what you like to do, the expectations can't be too high. It's got to be just enough to say, did it do something for you? Are you good here for doing it? Because if you start giving with resentment, it's like, that's a nasty, like, toilet bowl effect. It's like you already started off waiting for it not to come back to you. And that's what I used to do for a barrier. It's like, I'm gonna give you everything, chances are you're gonna fuck this up in my head. And then when I watch them do it, it's like, oh, here we go. But I want to share one thing with you. So like when we did the brain stuff, we talked a lot about retention rates and everything. So when you're in class or you're listening to some podcast, or when you're engaged in something, highly engaged, like you really want to listen, not in high school and you're like, oh, I can't wait to this class. Like you may say you paid to go something, went to Tony Robbins, you went to this course that Porsche went. You actively went because you're excited about learning about something you care about. Even in that state where you're like up ready with a pencil and a paper, you're like, I'm taking all the notes. I'm gonna sit in front, I'm gonna have all the notes, somebody's gonna take better notes than me, I'm gonna be the best student. Even in that environment in your brain, the retention rate is so fucking low, it's a joke. Because our brains aren't meant to take in a ton of information in a seminar status. It's supposed to be like that, like teaching a 5-year-old on a new subject. Not something you already know. You can cram stuff like that, but on a new subject, it's supposed to be like this. And it's supposed to be chunked up in a pattern that makes you learn the curve so you don't forget it. And part of that is actionables. So just learning it and without the actionables, you will forget it unless you're studying in the book every night. And that becomes repeat study. Like you just memorize, like in church, you can memorize the whole Our Father, even if you never pay attention in church. I can do that, but I couldn't tell you what it was about because I didn't care. So even at the highest level, you want to be doing something. You paid to go do. You want to be involved. You leave that seminar. By the time you get home, you're losing about 20% of retention rate that whole day or weekend. You sleep off another 18%. Tomorrow, I mean, if we're talking about like value for your money, so you better call this customer service, but yo, I literally just lost 38% of the information you gave me. So I'm going to need a little bit of a refund. Like, I mean, and you think about it in those terms, even when we're paying attention, we lose that. So the expectation can't be high. I tell that story because that's just human nature. That's how we are. So we're going to do stuff like this. It has to be actionable. It has to be followed up. It has to be, what are we going to do after this connects over? And that's what our text group chain's about. Or are we going to talk to each other other than this? Is this just where we see these people and we never talk again? Is there an actionable behind it? And then what are things we can do to grow it? Like Amber said, like, is there a survey? Can we figure out a different direction? Do we change some stuff up? Because it's been a year. But if there's nothing actionable that comes after the information, the retention drops off a cliff and it becomes filed back and it's not that important. So I think where it pertains in this message is knowing that I understand people better. When I talk to people that I feel like that can, I don't know, take a conversation like we talk, like if I go out and meet somebody, I feel in a moment if I can I talk like this to them? Or no, this is going to be a surface level conversation. You know how to see these people. When I get with somebody, I think it's deep. I start right off the bat to set that same the expectation in my mind, knowing that information that even in a really good conversation with somebody you meet or you become friends with, you gotta set your expectations properly. Like we talked about your book, Amber, it's like all this stuff you've had for years. I'm not talking about the one you have now. I mean, the one about like your career stuff, the other book you're gonna write. Like, how do you instill all that stuff on a human right now? If I asked you, it's like, where do you start? You start at the end, you start at the beginning, you start in the middle, you piece it apart. I mean, most of the time it depends on who we're talking to, right? But in learning process, you gotta go backwards. You're the one with all of it. You gotta go backwards, chunk it up like a 5-year-old, and start over to give it to somebody if they want to be on your level. And I think that's where the expectation comes in for me. It's like, if I set realistic expectations, not only for the people around me, but more importantly, me, I can start to curb these feelings of theocracy that I feel like. I know that those aren't feelings. They come in my head and I'm like, that's bullshit. But I'm still feeling it. I'm like, no, stop. Like I'm not feeling guilty about something I have no control over. So setting a different expectation, knowing that the stuff we share in here might not be received by anybody in a time frame we might not want it, right? Like I would love if we had 30 people on here every week. I love in a month we had 50 people. I love to see it expand to 100, but to group it up and different leaders run it. I would love that. But messages are only meant to be listened to when the people that want to listen are ready to hear it. You know, she said in our conversation, said something else. She went to a church she used to go to last Sunday. Again, she hasn't been there a long time. And she was very emotional. And she said that she thought that they were talking directly to her. And I said, you know why that is? Because most people believe that they're the single person in the room that's going through the trouble. When in reality is out of 100 people in that room, 98 of them are going through the same thing as you're going through. And 2 of them are maybe floating on the enlightened end or out of it because they've done the work. But majority of people in the room, why you think they're talking to you and the message is like that? Because God is talking to everybody. Because you're not alone. You're in the group. You're in the group. We're all going through it. And that's why when you go sometimes, you've been there for so long, it's like speaking right to me. Yeah, because that's what he does, but also it's because we share a commonality of struggle. That's what we are. We're all in it together. That's the point. The light for me is if I'm in church and I feel a message, I'm like, holy shit, like blew my mind. And I've been there. When I started going again, back when Mom was out in Arizona, Amber, I had so many weeks in a row that I thought that like it was directed at me. I was feeling a little shitty about it. I didn't want to go anymore. I literally felt it was coming at me like a tunnel vision was looking at me and talking to me like every message, you know, and it was making me feel uncomfortable. Right? Because I was listening to what I needed to hear. And that's what we do. So I think as Connect Group is titled, Connect, right? Like we have to all realize that we're all going through it together, the highs and the lows, the goods and the bads. It's just our human nature. It's just how we wear it and how we decide to come in and out of it. So heavy is the crown to be somebody that wants to show up. Heavy is the crown that wants to on somebody that wants to consistently give all you have to everybody around you. Because it will be heavy. Emotion is heavy. Other people's lives are heavy. Your life gets heavy. When you're in the space that, you know, speaking of you two directly now, like you two are, and I feel sometimes it feels really heavy because I like to take on a lot of other people's stuff. Like I choose that. When something's broke, I want to fix it. When something's hurting, I want to help it. And you guys are the same. So like, for some people, you gotta really watch it because it's real. Like it can get real mucky. You know, you gotta wear your mud boots out there. It's sinking in a little bit, and it's hard to walk, and it's a struggle. But remember, we choose to be there because that's the crown, right? So we can bear the weight. I feel like some people are chosen to bear the weight, not the burden. You know, that's at least what I've learned about my life. I've been chosen to bear weight. There's no other explanation because just none. Everything that I've seen and lost and gained and lost again and gained, and I know the reason. It's not a burden. It's the weight that I was gifted that I can handle. So heavy is the crown. And I passed the crown.
Okay, I have a few things.
Go.
That was good. I mean, obviously, when I read it and hearing you say it, I mean, obviously the first thing I think of, not just on the Real Raw and Flawed tipped, but the way we grew up and the Zoe talks, you know, from week to week is, you know, imagine what Jesus felt, imagine what Mother Teresa felt, imagine anyone with the responsibility of only being able to listen, really. You know, obviously Jesus could, you know, perform miracles, but, you know, I think he only got like 10 or something, you know, in his lifetime or something. God said you could have 10 to prove you're my son, but that's it, you know. But just imagine, you know, how heavy that thorn crown was. And, you know, anytime that we go against the grain, it's heavy, because you have to then be able to stand in what it is you say, and then face the crowd all looking at you going, no, naysayers, or, you know, whatever it is. Because, you know, I think I've lived in that space most of my life. The second thing I want to say is, I was definitely one of the many mantras I've carried with me through the last few years has been, I would say the last 10 years or so, is detaching from outcome, because everything was so weighted in expectations and outcome that I didn't know I was letting myself down. You know, that I had put all those expectations out there. When I was first becoming a healer, before I even, somewhere between what my intuition knew about who I was and like learning the vocabulary and the skill set to then kind of put it into application, way before the experience kicked in, we were told that we were going to learn how to hold space for people. And I was like, ugh, what is that? Like, it already felt heavy just to say it. Hold space for people.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to, probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And now I do it all the time and I don't even think twice about it. And it's become the much easier route. But you know, in massage school, one of the first things you do once you learn all the general basic stuff is you learn this energy work. You know, some people call it Reiki, energy palpation, hands-on healing, all this. And the very first class was, the introduction was, you're going to stand over a person laying on a massage bed. You're going to have your hands just above them. You're not going to touch them. And you're going to be silent for 1 hour. And the only way that you do well at this is that every time your mind leaves that person, you bring it back. And I was like, what?
That's big.
So I had to stand there for an hour in silence. Not, number one, that's probably the hardest thing of my life, because I'm just a noisy person in general. I make sounds for everything.
Yeah.
You know? So one, I had to be silent. Two, I had to stand still and do nothing to help the person at all. Three, I couldn't actually make physical contact with them or talk to them and ask them, like, how are you? How's your pain? What's going, you know, anything at all. And above all, I had to, the hardest part, keep my thoughts present with the person without saying anything. So, I mean, that was like mind blower. And
That's
that
big.
I've taken with me throughout my whole life. And it really changes everything about, I don't have to do anything. My only, what I was taught and what I took on that was most familiar to my soul was all I have to do is show up. I just have to be here. Like, it doesn't matter what I have to say. It doesn't matter what I want from it. It doesn't matter if I can affect it. It's just holding the space because maybe somebody just needs another human being to exactly that, not judge, just listen. Just maybe
Yeah,
they need
yeah,
off their heart or chest,
yeah, it's
and
pretty big.
that's a
Pretty
big
big.
one. It relates to what I do, but it's something that we can all take into consideration when
Yeah,
we choose to consult or be of service or whether it's a friend, family, or stranger. But and then the last thing is that I'll share is just that I don't know, something's been coming up for me, it's again, it always goes back to like love language. And I had so many conversations yesterday with so many different people that I love for so many different reasons. And um I had a couple of thoughts today that irritated me, because I feel like, I am still so human in the ways that I know all the conceptual knowledge and I know how to act, and I know how to be, and I know that consistently for the most part I do, but I'm still very susceptible in all the human ways. And there's parts of me that had the thought kind of in line with what you were saying, Mike, but just for different reasons. I was just like, is it all lost on you? Was the thought I kept having. Like, is it all lost on you? Like, is all the love and all that I am and all that I have to give and all that I have to share, and the reason I sacrifice so much personally for me, and this is just my own narrative and story, but is it lost on someone who's not showing up in the same way or really getting the
right,
fulfillment out of it, really getting the joy or really getting the
right,
help?
right.
And you know what I came up with at the end of the day? It's not my decision to make if it's lost on a person or not. I know what my coding told me, and it took
Yeah,
me 40 some years to figure out what my service to the world is. And I'm just going to show up and be that. And if my whole life was wrong for being this, then well, hopefully I'll figure out the next life and I'm not a dinosaur or a frog or something. I can talk, hopefully, in my next life I want to talk. But
that's
um
interesting. That's an interesting. I think the two takes that were super interesting was one, being in the space without physical touch or talking. If that's, I think more in like helping somebody, like if somebody's sick that's close to you, or our natural thing, or somebody's like talking through something, our natural instinct is to talk them through it,
yeah.
or physically like hug them, or like it's gonna be okay, or I mean, so we're obviously what we're taught probably as children. But yeah, that's that one blew my mind a little. That's a huge one. I think just showing up in your presence is enough.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's ego. Like, what do I have to actually say? Some of my
yeah,
friends,
yeah, yeah.
some of my friends were trying to teach me that through the years, but I really didn't get it until the application of what I do. Because I remember, like, one of my best friends would call me, and the only time she'd really call was like when something terrible happened, and she would just be like off of her rocker, like, "Da, da, 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 da,"
Yeah,
and I would listen, and then I would think that because she was so emotional that okay, all right, let me, and then I'd have all this stuff to say, and at one
right.
point, and many times in life, she'd be like, can you just shut the fuck up? Can you just listen? I just need to just say that. Like, she didn't
Right.
actually want me, she didn't want any advice at all. She just needed a safe place to unload that,
Yeah.
So and that's just
That
more and
one's
more and
big.
more in life.
Yeah, showing up with no words and physical touch is big. I wrote that one down. The other one was uh, what you said at the end there is, giving out the love and having any opinion about it. Like the space you held yesterday and you created yesterday was supposed to be for anybody to enter. That's why it was open to everybody. And the way they react to it or treat it is not your business.
Right. That's it.
Like I witnessed the same thing yesterday. Like I grew up with all those same people in different eras, and majority, everybody's pretty good for over the years.
Yeah.
But some people hurt my heart to see. I don't want to name people because we're recording, but like when I first show up, like that one's always heavy on me. Riding the bike up there, like then at the end of the night, the other one showing up. It's just in my head, I start to think, why are you here? But then I think like that. I immediately go, they're here because they need something.
Yeah.
Do they want to just come up and get drunk because there's a party hanging out, or it's part of them getting drunk because they need people around. They need the feeling of it for a moment, and that's good enough, right? You held the space for anybody to be whoever they wanted to be.
Yeah.
While they're there, and we can't have judgment on it. We can't have a feeling about somebody else's experience, but as
It is
consistent
also
people,
our friendships,
hold
and
it.
it's everything. It's the people we serve, it's our friends, it's
Yeah.
our family, it's everyone, because really it's another thing that came out of my mouth at the fire that I've said 1,000 times, but it's always more relevant, like with the 100 monkeys, the more you say it, is that like most of what people have to say is a projection of what they're feeling or experiencing anyway. It has nothing to do with me. Someone could
Right.
walk up and be like, I freaking hate plaid, and maybe I'm wearing plaid or something, and it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with their
Right.
or something, like, it's not because they hate me or something, but we
Right.
spend our whole adolescence and life internalizing
Of course.
everything about us. It's so weird and
course.
eccentric. And
Is
then
it
you
about me? Is a big question in humanity, isn't it? Is that about me?
oh, it's about the collective. It's about the connect, right? And so, yeah, I just try to detach and continue to hold this space and continue to be me without one way or
Love
the
that.
other. Like, whatever.
Love that.
And on to what I sent you as far as like death and like the unaccepted or the absolute, the I don't know if you listened to what
I did listen to it.
I mean, I know it was off the cuff and random, but I figured I might as well just be me. I mean, that's what was literally coming up for me. I was like in the car, I'm so, I was thinking about you all night and all day and worried for you and what can I do? And there's nothing I can do. And it's something that you have to feel and go through and have your own emotions on and whatnot. And here I am like singing this gay song that, not homosexual gay, by the way, but happy gay.
Thanks for putting that on there.
Yeah, for the recording.
Yeah.
Happy 90s.
That's even worse that you said it's for the record.
Happy 90s gay. But by definition from the Webster's dictionary. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, and then I got this song in my head. I'm like, you know what? And it was so weird. But then I was thinking of, again, proof of life and proof of death and proof of absolute lack of control. In the end, when someone is dying in front of you or someone has died, it is the proof that not only is energy moving and not in the body that lays in front of us is not the human or the soul that we connected with in this earthly plane. And also that we have zero control no matter what we tell ourselves, because when it's over, that's it. And we don't even hardly value the lives we have, and everybody's, walking around miserable and this, that. So yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot to uncover and a lot to unfold. And all I can really do is march on. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I wrote those notes. I like that. Portia.
Okay.
Where you at with the crown? Your crown's gotta be heavy.
Yes, my crown is very heavy.
You gotta be heavy.
Oh yeah. So they start screaming your name, Porsche.
Not easy being me, okay? It's not easy. But so what I was thinking, what came up for me, you said a couple of things. You said one, people don't understand. And I think the better way to phrase that is people don't take the time to try to understand. Because if we think like people don't understand, we kind of are like putting resistance around it. So I always say that people don't try to even create that, safe space for people to just listen to try. And the other thing, like you said, I think you said burdens, and I think of burdens they're not burdens, right? Because you look at them as with compassion, and you look at them with empathy, and knowing that somebody came to you and was that comfortable to be open to you, that's your superpower, right? That's what you need to be aware of in this world, because that's part of why you're here.
Right.
You know, I mean, I have that similar superpower does too, where people come and they already know, and they'll tell you their life story without even knowing. That that's the energy that you have, and that's your responsibility that God gave you, right? Like that's and then like understanding that.
That's our space, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
And then
space is great.
right. And then you're able to do that, because a lot of people aren't able to do that.
Yeah.
And I totally, like Andrew said, when people are going through these tough times, a lot of times they just have to do an emotional dump, and they just want someone to listen to it, you know? And like, I know for me, like, and I still, but like, even when I was going through hard times, like, I just wanted someone to give me a hug. Like, it's all I wanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and just to feel connected in that sense. And so like, you don't realize how much it means to a lot of people. And even if you don't know what they're going through, right? Just giving them that, or giving them the time to listen, and just being like, okay, I'll give you the hour, even if it's like an hour or whatever, 2 hours, and all you did was listen. Like, we'll never know sometimes, because we're all very similar in the way that a lot of times we will process our own things, you know, we're not always reaching out for that support in that way, you know. And we're like, okay, go, we're good. We're like the leader here, so we got this, but we don't always put that out there, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna go like do an emotional dump here on Michael and Amber, but and somehow like and that's just how our mind gets programmed in that sense. But I think that we have to remember that the crown may feel heavy, but one, not to try and you can't do everything, right? The expectation is you can't do everything. You can't fix, you can't save, you can't rescue everybody, but every small thing that you do, no matter how small, and if nobody came to this recording and it was just you recording it, that matters, right? Just you showing up matters. It doesn't matter if nobody else came here, because what you do matters, right? Matter even if you don't have the physical following where somebody decided to subscribe to you, because you have no idea the impact that it's making. And that's part of your gift of why you're here. And we totally forget that, because we get so hung up on metrics of things that if you're passionate about it, do it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, that's what matters. And like, I think everybody, what they have to say matters. And that's exactly how we can help people when they feel so faceless, feel so unseen and unheard in that way. And just remind they matter in that way. And I think that Mother Teresa should do small things with great love. Like, small actions can have big, small actions can have big impacts. And sometimes we'll never know the impact. And maybe we're not supposed to know the impact.
Hell
you know
yeah.
what
I believe that.
just like I told you the other day, I was like, I get the message, and that's my gift that I give. And if I get something back from it, fine. If I don't, I know I did my job, and I had to learn that over the years. Like, that was part of why I came here. So like, if I see something, it's my job to speak out on it. And wherever it goes, I have to detach from the outcome. I just have to know that I delivered what I was supposed to deliver. And 100%. Then wherever it goes, it goes. And I just look at it like that's a gift. And like, I was thinking the same thing, like, because I was thinking about you all day as well, because I knew that I know how you are, and I knew you were feeling like the guilt of that, like, because you had so much contact within the last couple of weeks. And so I was thinking about that this afternoon, and I was telling my mother about it, and she's exactly the same way, very empathetic and compassionate in that sense. And so she's feeling that, and she was talking to me about it. And, you know, she was saying that her reaching out to you was a gift to you. It was like almost her way of saying goodbye to you. in that way, and like giving you that, you got to spend, even if the time wasn't all perfect or positive, but you got to spend that time
Yeah.
and know you were a light for her when she needed it. And
Yeah.
like, it was like, she knew what she was doing for you.
Yeah, I think that's where I came to today. I think that's a perfect way to say it. I think, you know, yesterday was really tough, and this morning, and obviously, again, like dealing with anything when you're not ready for it is just a shitty experience anyway. You don't feel good, and you're emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted. It wasn't good, so it started off hard, but you know, by the time I got to the end of today, it was exactly what you just said. It was. I'm glad that she did and did not instead of did not, you know, because when I moved, I lost touch with her. And it's easy to lose touch with people that are not in your physical presence or not involved. And the first thing she ever said to me that I thought was nice, and I've shared this with you guys before, was first time she ever kind of reached out was like, "Hey, when you coming home?" That's the first thing she wrote to me. And I was like, "What do you mean home? I'm in New York." She's like, "When are you coming back here?" It's like, "I don't know." Then she goes, I've been watching your videos online, and I really want to join. I think it's what I need in my life, but I'm not ready to." So I obviously knew right away that if somebody says that, it's something bigger going on. Some people don't want to do video because they're just shy. But I was like, "Can you just go on audio? Nobody knows you're there." She's like, "No, I'm not ready to hear, I think, what you guys have to say." So we started FaceTiming on Messenger all the time. Like we would do this, but privately. And I think that's what I came to today. I came to the point where she had enough courage to trust me with something that was very important to her that she would not bring to anybody in her life. And I think part of what today was really hard for me was like, I thought I had to make a decision of what I do with that. And as of right now, I'm not going to do anything with it because she didn't ask me to do anything with it. She never asked me how to handle it. It's not my responsibility to go to her parents or her friend, or it's not on me. But that's what I was feeling today. You know, I was feeling like, well, damn it, I was the only person she told. We're getting closer. Like I feel like, do I need to? And the answer is no. I've exactly what you said. I feel blessed and lucky to have been a friend enough to her, and at least in her mind, hopefully I was, that she trusted me to share anything. And she trusted to watch us talk even when she wasn't here live. And that she took any solace from that in short moments. So end of the day, like Amber said in her, she sent me a thing earlier, but it's flesh leaving the earth, not her soul. So
she might actually be, you know, mom might have been waiting there for her. Like, I mean, we don't know that they're not having a better experience, that soul. All we know what it is to be here in this now. And she may be free and gloriously happy and have, you know, be flying and weightless. And you have one more angel looking out for you, and she's going to help you to do the work and to spread the word.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel more blessed than not, that it is what it was. Like, that's it. I mean, I can't even begin to share what I think I even learned from speaking to her. Like, she was putting some really heavy shit in front of me that I wasn't ready for. I've never been down that path, like face to face with somebody giving that to me.
Well, we have listeners.
But fuck, I learned a lot from it. Like it took me to places that I didn't know I had. It took me to places I didn't know I was capable of handling or hearing. So yeah, I mean, look.
Well, it's also preparing you for other things and new people in your life and people that may be right in front of you. You know, because we all know different people are having different struggles in different moments, and some people, you know, are making tiny strides and go from, you know, everything is I should just off myself to, you know, the to the next minute, finally, asking for help and asking for witness instead of going to that go-to, or, all kinds of, we're in a mental health crisis, unfortunately.
I wanted to say that I forgot to mention is I went from being a pusher when I knew somebody was hurting, or somebody was close to me, or my employee or relationship, or mom even did a lot to mom. If somebody close to me that I saw was hurting, I forced myself upon them to try to help. Meaning like, I'm not gonna stop. You need my help, like you need help or something, you know what I mean? Like I was constantly at it. And fast forward to now, the curve on that is similar to what you mentioned, like show presence is as equal as touch or verbal, right? Like Portia said, all she wanted is a hug. She doesn't need you to tell her she's okay. She's doing that, but she wants a hug. Like that's a physical touch. Sometimes just showing up and sitting in the living room. I did that a lot with Aunt Louise. Never said a word to her, but she liked me sitting in the living room. Never had 2 words. Like kind of weird to me because I like to talk, but like that's what she wanted, to be present, to understand what somebody else wants and needs, and not
Yes.
to push yourself into their life, but
That's
to be available for them. That's what I've learned from all this. Like she needed me for something that I didn't even have at the moment, but I learned it while she was giving it to me. So I think when people need our help, it's like, it's not our responsibility to fix them. It's our responsibility to figure out what kind of help they need from us and in what form. Like that's a huge one to me. Like the presence thing, no touch, no speak, no. Can you even fucking do that? That's a task. Like being, and not in the living room, not talking to your sibling because you hate them. Not that kind of shit. Not ignoring. I mean like keeping your mind on the person present in the room that you love so much, and being really close to them and saying nothing and not touching them. Or giving them a hug for as long as it takes and never saying a word.
Right.
Or, somebody like me, I like to hear things. I like to hear it out loud. I like to hear the things so I can make sense of it. Can I feel it? Does it feel good from you? Are you just giving me canned responses you have lined up in the back? I can feel that shit very easily when somebody speaks, because I watch emotion and words. So I like to see that. So I guess, we went from like, I felt like I needed to rush in the burning building and just hose everything down, It's like, yo, the fire's not even on my brand new couch, man. Why are you ruining it with the hose?
Right.
And that's what I felt like. Like I'm busting in, everything is getting soaked wet. Everything's getting covered just in case, because I don't know what the actual problem is, because I haven't stopped even fucking check where the fire is. And I just end up ruining, more stuff than maybe even helping sometimes. And I think, through maturity and this stuff and growth and all that, it's like, I still go in a lot. I still run in the building, but I get in and I start asking questions. Because what if there's a baby in the back room and I flood the room and somebody drowns because I didn't just ask if they need my help? It's dramatic to say it like that, but sometimes you can push somebody into a worse situation they're already in by not even just being present and maybe being quiet and maybe being there and hearing it and letting them know where they're at, what they need from you. So yeah, I learned a lot from her. I learned a lot over time on that subject alone, but I like that holding space one. I think we all do that very well. I think that's why people attract to us and talk to us, because we're naturally holding the space. It's like you actually made a space yesterday for a party, but I think the 3 of us naturally hold space for anybody. I think we have a constant waiting room on the front of us that allows anybody in, and they can see it, whether they come back again for another visit. It's another question, but I feel like we hold space very well, and as long as we just continue to be us when it's their turn, and consistent with that space, then what else is there, right? People can choose to come and never come back, or they come and stay forever. It's not our burden or like our heart to take. Yeah.
Wanted to say that you got confirmation from Jessica because she said that she watched the videos and you didn't even know she was watching them. So if she hadn't had reached out to you to tell you, that's confirmation that you're on the right track.
Right.
That's how we found you.
Somebody was watching them and you didn't even know it was changing her life in that space.
Right.
You know, so think of all the people that you don't know that could be watching them.
Oh
know
my
what
God.
I'm saying?
You'll post some shit and it'll be like 3 people liked it, but 437 views. Like,
Right. Like, yeah.
well, first of all,
Yeah.
I can't identify. I don't even identify with that human identity trait. Like, how do you watch something? And I do it in my work, which is funny, but yeah, in my Leo lionness, I have to be like, if I saw it, I'm going to mention something, or I'm going to at least like, Amber was here,
Right.
So it's like
Right.
all the 437 people that watched the thing in entirety, and it could have affected them a million ways to Sunday, and don't say a word.
100%.
My mind. So there's a lot of that, actually, more than not.
That is a huge. Go ahead.
I know that, like, I don't like everything that I see, even if I do like it. It's just like I don't even think about it sometimes. Like, I don't.
Well, some like pure compassion. Sometimes you hit it because you're like, oh, that person seems like they're trying.
Like, but like the post that I read, I'm sure I get value or something out of it at the moment, but I don't. And I know it goes the same way. So you have to. I know, like we talked about validation and just reminding yourself. I know that's what I use. I always remind myself, you know what, this is for one person. And even if that one person is you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's always going to be here. It's always going to be here. And if it's 5 years from now, somebody's going to get more value out of it than you did your job, because that was what 100%. You got came here. So I think of it that way. And then
I'm writing my own algorithm too. Like, I'm tap. If I like it, I want more of what I like tappity tap.
Oh yeah. You're talking about in there.
No, I'm talking about in life.
To her sense, to her
algorithm is life.
To her point about the legacy of anything is like, look, we today listen and learn still from people that have been long gone for a long time.
Yes.
Long time. Writers, authors, famous, not famous, icons for a long time. For people that we've never, nothing could be relatable between us. In living in that era that we live in now.
Being human.
Besides being human and putting it out there in the space and going, yeah, 100 years later.
Right.
And at the time they put the information out, they may have not even been that popular. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
but now,
right.
Socrates.
All of
some people died and became popular. Yeah.
Here's you and I, we're teaching that same information because everybody is repeating information. That's all it's about, right? They're repeating information that they've learned. They're repeating what Gandhi, you know what I mean? Like, and it's still valid stuff. I think one thing I wanted to point out too, because we have such a big responsibility here on Earth, and like you're chosen to be that. I think, like Amber said, not everybody is ever going to step into that space. So you can't have the expectations that everyone's going to want to even have that responsibility. But remembering your first responsibility is to yourself too.
Yeah.
I know I'm guilty of that myself. I had to learn that myself over the years, like remembering, because it can be very easy to want to go in every direction except for here.
Heck yeah.
Because you feel it for everyone else.
Yeah, that physical space, that mental space, and that visualization, like the waiting room I talk about.
Yeah.
Like your room. If it starts getting out of disarray, it's not normal to you, starts getting a little messy, you've been busy or you haven't been paying attention, it starts to get messy, you feel it, you know what your standard is, you know what your consistency is, or if you left the dishes for too many days, or you know what it is and you feel it. But sometimes we continue down the path, I'll just get to it, I don't want to right now, right? It's staying consistent with that waiting room. When a ton of people have been in it, which we bring a lot of people around us, a ton of people have been in it. Sometimes we need to have everybody wait outside, open an hour later the next day and clean that bitch. Paint the walls, new rugs, some new furniture, freshen it up, get the standards up again. People have been using it for years. So I like that analogy because it's exactly that. We got to take care of our spaces so when people enter it, they feel what we put into it. They feel us first. So then when we sit down with them, wow, I already feel good coming in. Now they're sitting with me. Holy shit, I love this space. I love what's happening. I feel like I want to stand up and say something. Right?
Yeah.
Not put them in, not strip down naked, get in a gown, sit on that cold pan. Doctor, be in a minute with the bad news. It's like we don't even teach ourselves how to be safe around each other. We teach ourselves the fears of life before we teach ourselves the safeties. So let's build our spaces out exactly how we want them, our standards. So when people enter it, they already know they're loved, but our expectations is not too high. It's like they have to love it because I did it. They have to. No, they don't. They just have to experience it. And then when they leave, hopefully it irons in their life and they come back, or it helped them go, that's not what I want. I want this, which could be just as good.
Or maybe you helped them and that's all they needed at that time, right? And then they got back onto wherever they were supposed to go.
Yeah, 100%. So
I know.
I'm gonna close out because my crown is starting to come down. You notice I actually wore the crown tonight.
Yeah.
But no. Heavy is the crown of responsibility, but the
Yes,
more we wear it, the more we build below it. Like taking care of our physical, our space, everything. You don't even know it's there after a while. It's only heavy when you're focusing on it. But you chose it. You chose that path. We chose that path. You have to have responsibility with it and step up every day to it. And one day you wake up and the only time you ever see it will be in the mirror. So it's not gonna be heavy. It's gonna be part of you. It's what you're chosen for. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys being there for me when I need it and in the ways I need it, because I'm very particular about it. And you two both know a lot of people, so I appreciate you respecting my boundaries and how I deal and still being there for me. So yeah, today was a good day all around.
Good.
It's really good. So I love you guys. I gotta go because I gotta sleep.
Portia, drive safe tomorrow, honey. I'll be thinking about you. Call me on your way home. Love y'all. Michael.
All right,
Love you
look,
guys.
Michael, like this. This is your crown. Look,
Yeah,
this is your crown.
there it is. My antlers.
Okay,
Bye,
look,
y'all. Bye.
bye.